It's been a long time coming since I wanted to make this podcast. My name's Evan. This is the More Sir Pacers podcast. I go to all the I don't go to all the games. I got the half season package. I've been going for several years now, so I felt it was my time to go ahead and start making a podcast. I wanted to do this for like 3 years. I listened to all the other Pacers podcasts, or at least I listened to Fast Break Report. I've been on him a lot lately. I wish I knew his name offhand, but man, his takes I don't always agree with him, but he's good at what he does. Love Tony East. I walk past him like all the time. I think we both do laps on the top level uh, during the half times. I kind of just run into him. I haven't really stood there to chat with him before. I'm kind of introverted a little bit, so it takes a little bit to get information out of me. And then of course I listen to Setting the Pace. I listen to all those every time they upload. Want to talk about the state of the Pacers. We lost today, 136-121 in Memphis. We looked good in the first quarter. I thought it was gonna be one of those games that we all us fans kind of needed. Just a breeze of a game, a blowout, and then of course we blew the lead and we just couldn't come back. Siakam, he was okay. He had his 17 and 6. Miles could have been a lot better. Drew coming back, Andrew Nemhard coming back. He looked good, and let me say the difference with him. I love Andrew Nemhard, but I didn't appreciate him enough. Um, like with him not being there, because I said for a while, man, Quentin Jackson looks a little better in Andrew's spot than Andrew does. I was thinking that, but then I was kind of basing it on what I saw this season and not necessarily, especially not the playoffs. Seeing him back and seeing how the offense was just really flowing with him in there, and then seeing that when they didn't bring him back in there, then it was just kind of all over the place, and he had a good game. He made some shots. He really could have had probably 20 points or so. But he did his thing. He looked good out there. I'm not sure how many minutes he actually played. 15 minutes. 14 points, 15 minutes. He was a +5 and 4 assists, 2 steals, 2 of 5 from 3. I don't even remember him shooting that much. So he was 6 of 11. So he took as many shots. Andrew Nemhard in 15 minutes took 11 shots. Tyrese Halliburton in 37 minutes took 10, and 9 of them from 3. Like, come on, man. That's if you're gonna be the head of the snake, you're gonna have to be a dog. Be a dog. I'm not. If you gotta do like LaMelo Ball and shoot 35 shots, just don't shoot 20 of them from 3. But if you gotta shoot 35 shots, shoot 35 shots for us to win. That's what you have to do. I know it's not his game and everything, but I mean, if he's not gonna do it, somebody's gonna have to do it. We can't just be. I mean, it's not okay. Yeah, Pascal took 15 shots and he's our best player, but we need somebody that's willing, that has the green light, that really, really, really has the green light. I see Benedict took 13 shots, okay, in 34 minutes. I feel like he can always take more shots. Not necessarily jump shots, but just go to the basket, don't bobble the ball, and just get in there and draw fouls. He took 8 free throw attempts tonight, made 7. That's cool. At some point, we're going to have to realize that maybe he's our second best player if we let him be, because he's a dog. He's going to attack. But we have to give him permission to do that, put him in position to do it. And I just feel like we need to do more of that. Obi, he had a great game. Maybe not defensively, but offensively. I mean, he scored 16 points, 7 of 10, and hit a 3, had 8 rebounds. But even though he was a -13, I don't put that all on him. He must have like ankles of steel, man. I don't know how many games I've seen where he sprained his ankle and I thought he was going to be out, and then he just ended up coming back into the game. I think he's only missed like one game to a sprained ankle, where anybody else would have missed like nearly a month. He just comes right back in the game. Hopefully he's back next game. I'm hoping that his ankle is okay. Jarris Walker, he has good games and bad games. He's up and down, but his defense does stand out. Those baseball slide steals. Dude, this is not baseball. Or he's like a linebacker. Like, no wonder he gets those all the time. It's like he's 6'7", 6'8", 230 pounds. The guy diving at your knee to diving at your legs to try to get the ball. After he just knocked it loose, I mean, you're not gonna stop him. So he's he's up and down. He has good games. He had the bad game with 7 turnovers and kind of got down on himself. But and I don't want to keep talking about the obvious here. I mean, this game it got away from us. We scored 45 in the first quarter, and then we just kind of the defense just wasn't there the rest of the game pretty much. At some point, you have to wonder. I mean, we got players that can play defense. None of the players on this team are dumb. At some point, you just have to question if it's maybe a coaching thing. And yes, there's positives from this coaching staff. They're great at developing players. They're good at getting them. They fixed kind of fixed McConnell's 3-point shot to be respectable at least. And then Jarris Walker, his shot's been a lot better. A couple of the games I went to, I noticed that Jenny was working with Andrew Nemhard with just shooting one-handed shots. And I'm not sure if that was part of his rehab or if she was just getting him to fix his form. It kind of like it was more of a form exercise more than anything. But, I mean, he was 2 of 5 tonight. That's 40%. I'll take it. Anytime Drew is hitting the three, that's definitely good news. I don't see him as a major three-point shooter, but he's definitely a threat. But I just wonder, like, if the coaching staff isn't getting through them on defense. You know, if it's you have to motivate them, which players should motivate themselves. You know, it starts at the head of the snake, Tyrese. He should be motivating the rest of the team, not looking mopey. And I think maybe Pascal is more of a vocal leader than Tyrese is, just because of his championship experience. But collectively, I just feel like there needs to be a dog mentality. Like, you need to have guys on this team that take on the mama mentality damn near. Like, and maybe we do have it, but you have to have a coaching staff that can bring it out of them. Or maybe Rick's not the voice of motivation. You know, you need somebody. We need somebody that's a young, fiery, or if he's not young, I mean like a Spoelstra. I'm not saying go get Spoelstra because we're not going to be able to get him, but just an Eric Spoelstra's type that can kind of is better at identifying with the players. I mean, I don't even know another coach to name. I don't feel like Rick has lost the team by any means. I just think that his message can only go so far, and I just think it's to the point where I'm not saying fire Rick. I mean, from day one, I thought when he first signed that 4-year contract, it was like 4-year, $29 million contract or something like that. I thought maybe he would maybe coach a year and then move to the front office or something like that. Because I think eventually that might be what's going to happen. Because they're not going to, you know how Simon is. He's not going to just. He's a loyalty guy. He's not going to just. And this is Rick Carlisle. You know, he's done a lot for this franchise, so he's not going to just say, "Okay, well, I'll give you permission to fire him. Go ahead and fire him. We'll never see him again." No, he wants Rick to be around. So Rick's going to probably be in the front office, or he might become the president, or just who knows. But this, just like on Fast Break Report, he said we have to readjust our expectations for this season, and I already have. I kind of already did. I didn't really know what my expectations were going into it. I didn't make a prediction for how many games we're going to win. I just didn't know, because I feel like, okay, we all have to admit to ourselves that not necessarily that we get lucky to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, but we took advantage of an opportunity, and we deserved what we got given the opportunity. So with that said, I feel like we just got far given the opportunity. of teams being under shorthanded, and we were in sync offensively, and we learned how to play defense just good enough to get where we needed to go. And we didn't lose to until we got to Boston. Of course, we got swept, but um, I just feel this season. I just feel like it's kind of just seeing what you really have. Like, what do you really have? How like specifically, what do you have in Benedict Mathurin? What do you have in Jarris Walker? What do you have in Andrew Nemhard? How far is Pascal going to take us? We plan on having Pascal here. I don't think he's getting traded for any reason unless it's Edwards, which, sorry, but yeah, I'd gladly take Ant Edwards. That trade wouldn't even make sense right now, but for Minnesota at least. But I would big Ant Edwards guy. I think him and Tyrese would be great together. I don't see us going as far as we did last year, and I'm kind of just seeing how we develop and who comes along, and what hidden players show potential to be with the team long term, and that type of thing. And I love Tyrese Halliburton, and I know it would take about 3 seasons of bad play for them to look at possibly moving him. But I don't think, and this is my personal opinion, I don't think if we're going to win a championship that he can be the head of the snake, the best player. In fact, I feel like Andrew Nemhard is more of the type of player that we could have a point guard to lead us to a championship, but we'd have to have a strong, some strong, 29, 30 point per game player, or one of those around him. But I think he could put up 16 and 8 or 16 and 7, 16 and 8 in his sleep, which would be good enough because he's going to play defense. So I mean, if he can put up the same numbers that Halliburton is putting up on average this season and add defense to that, then Andrew Nemhard is the better value anyway. Not saying trade Halliburton because I know it's not going to happen. I know this is my first podcast. I'm already going after Tyrese. I'm not going after Tyrese. I really like Tyrese. I think he's a nice guy. I do love him as a basketball player. I just don't think I think he's him, but I don't think he's him for us as we're built. But that's going to have to play out over the next 3 years because they're not going to trade him. If we weren't the loyal franchise if we were the Lakers, he'd probably be on the block right now. That rumors would be rampant. It'd be all over the place. If this was New York, somewhere like that, but Indiana, where you can't afford to just not be loyal because nobody wants to really be here anyway, you can't do that. So you have to handle situations differently, and that's from the players, the coaching staff on down. I mean, even with coaches, you're not going to get a Rick Carlisle, a Hall of Fame coach to come here too often. I mean, we had Larry Brown. I'm not sure if he's a Hall of Fame coach or not. I feel like he should be. But we had Larry Brown, and then, Carlisle has played a lot of roles for us. With Larry Bird, the year that we went to the finals, he was one of the head assistant. Honestly, Larry Bird said it himself. I feel like Carlisle was doing more coaching than he was, so I credit Carlisle for getting us to the finals that year more than, and that's the 2000 finals, more than I do Larry Bird. Just me. I mean, that's really the only Hall of Fame coaches we had. When we had Isaiah Thomas, but he's a Hall of Fame player, not a coach. So, but I feel like it's going to come down to needing to shake up the coaching staff because, I mean, you can only do so much with the players. I mean, you can trade for whoever you want to, but if your system just isn't working, then it is what it is. I mean, Pascal Siakam, he's a damn good defensive player. Nemhard is. Matherin's come along a lot, even though he had some pretty nasty defensive mistakes today. You got Walker coming up. You got Neesmith coming back. surprisingly, I think Johnny Furphy is damn good defensively. I think he's gonna be he's the hidden gem I think on the roster right now because the way he moves, it kind of reminds me of Sabonis as a rookie. He kind of glides around the court like he just knows where to be. He knows what position to be in. He doesn't make too many mistakes. He just needs to make his shots. And then once Sabonis kind of grew, he got traded to the Pacers. He figured out how to play a little more. And he got more experience, more playing time, and he just grew from there. And I think that's also going to be Johnny Murphy. Not that he plays anything like Sabonis. I've been a fan of the Pacers since '94, and I've seen a lot. And this is definitely not the worst times. It's going to be an interesting offseason because actually it's going to be an interesting mid-season because if we aren't winning, if we're still stumbling along like we are now, we'll get even further down. We've already lost 3 games in a row twice this season, and we're just 21 games in. So it's like we're heading to Toronto. Tuesday? Yeah, I forget what day that game is, but we're heading to Toronto, and it's like if we lose to them, that's another 3 games in a row. So it's 22 games, and losing 3 games in a row 3 times, it's not a good look. And I just kind of wonder what's going to happen with Miles Turner if we're stumbling along by the All-Star break. I mean, he's the only real center that we can use. He's the only real center on the roster that's usable. I mean, nothing against Moses Brown, but he's not. He has no offensive game whatsoever. I mean, even his little 1-footer lefty hook shot in practice doesn't go in 50% of the time. So, I mean, but he's good. He's there for rebounds, and he might block a shot. But other than that, you're not getting anything out of him. So right now, Miles is all we have. But I mean, with him being going into free agency, you got to pay Matherin. You got Siakam on a fresh contract. You got Tyrese on a fresh contract. You just paid Nembhard. You got Neesmith, which he's pretty reasonable. Nembhard is too, but I mean Neesmith is pretty reasonable. I mean, you're gonna have to do something. You can't just let it go. So I don't know what we're gonna do with Miles, but you gotta do something because you got money invested in Pascal. You got money in Tyrese. You got 2 max guys. You can't just say, okay, well, we're going to just call this a development year and just pack it all up and everything's going to be okay. We're going to tell all these fans that, that are coming to all the games that, we're mailing it in for the year. We're not going to do anything. And, yeah, you want to make a trade that's going to make sense or you want to make a move that's going to make sense. If you can't change the coach mid-season, but you can tweak the roster a little bit. And I feel like a consolidation trade was coming anyway. We can't afford to do that as much now that we have Isaiah Jackson and James Wiseman injured. But, we still got Ben Shepherd and Quentin Jackson's giving us some quality minutes, even though he didn't look that good tonight. In the offseason, that's where it's going to really get juicy because at that point we're going to have Jarris Walker under your belt 2 years. That's Benedict 3 years. Drew 3 years. You've got some nice contracts. Everybody will be tradable. You got to think about what are we gonna do. But right now, I'm just gonna enjoy the minutes to Jarris Walker, and I just saw a replay of him hitting that buzzer beater corner 3. That was sweet. We got Jarris Walker. We got Benedict coming along finally. I want to see if Andrew Nembhard is going to really pick it up now. I remember last season he did this. He was hurt at the beginning of the year, and he was a little, struggled a little bit. And then once he came back from injury, he just turned it up. I feel like that might be what's happening now, hopefully. Hopefully, it leads to some wins. I hope we turn it around, but I think we've seen enough this season that when we go down bad. It's like I said, we're facing losing 3 games in a row for the third time this year in 22 games. That's more than just stumbling a little bit. We've got injuries. Knock on wood. It's not like we have injuries to like Tyrese or Pascal or Benedict. Our three best. We still have our 3 best players, so the rest of them should be able to fill in. Yes, Drew does matter. Like I said, offensively, he matters a whole. He matters a lot. Period. Like defensively and offensively, but offensively, you could really see it. Sometimes I felt like he just kind of disappeared, but offensively now, I think he, coming back, you could see how everything just flowed. Everything just he's a major connector. And I'm curious to see how Neesmith is when he comes back. I just hope that when he comes back, that Rick does not put Benedict Mathurin back on the bench. Say, oh, we need the 6-man power off the bench. Forget all that. He's your second leading scorer. I think he's still your leading rebounder after this game. He leads the team in 3-point percentage. His defense got better, and with the expectations we have right currently with the team, honestly, for being honest with ourselves, you need to leave him in there. He's earned it. I would be baffled if he said, okay, we're gonna go with Neesmith and Nembhard in the starting lineup again, and Neesmith doesn't care if he starts or not. He just wants to play. So bring him off the bench. Let him be a 3-and-D wing shooter. If you want to call him a wing, fine, or just let him be a 3-and-D player off the bench. I mean, Shepard, when he comes back, will probably be the odd man out. Shepard wasn't really – I don't think he was really given that much other than he played some good defense when he was starting, but I don't think he was really giving you anything else. I mean, he was not really hitting his shots. I'm going to end this podcast today. This is my first one. I was just trying to get my foot in the door on into the podcast world. Make sure you guys watch Locked On or listen to or on the streaming networks and YouTube. Watch Locked On Pacers and check out Setting the Pace and check out Fast Break Report. I love watching those guys every day. And matter of fact, I'm getting ready to get off here and see if Fast Break, he's usually pretty fast with his uploads after the game. We'll see if he how disappointed he is in this game. So signing out. I'm gonna jazz it up a little bit and come back on the next episode. Probably won't do it every day, but I'll do it after every game, and then we'll kind of do some. I got some little fun ideas, so we'll try some new stuff. Thanks for watching, and I'm signing out. Peace.